So the truth, I think about it like a fitted sheet. You know, the ones you buy at the store. You take it home, you take it out of the package, and you really hope it's the right color and the right thread count, because it's never going back into that package again. That's what it's like to spit into a tube to have your DNA tested. You see, I talked my sister into doing a DNA test with 23andMe. And after a lot of spit, more than you'd suspect, and the click of a mouse, I found out the truth. My dad was not actually my biological dad. Just like that, I became part of the 12 million people who have had their DNA tested. And just like that, he became a part of the 1% to 3% of men who think that they're the father of their child, but they're actually not. Wow, the truth. It's like that fitted sheet. There's no putting it back. There's no unknowing it. There's no undoing it. So it was really painful. Even though I'm standing up here smiling, it was so painful. It's not like the DNA commercials where everyone's smiling and they're so happy. They're so excited to learn about their ancestry. But even though I was really overwhelmed and sad, I never once regretted spitting into that tube. My parents were already dead. So any clues that there may have been to link me to my biological father had long ago been buried. Frankly, I felt really alone and very isolated. Nobody really understood where I was coming from. I felt sad and very overwhelmed. And I vacillated between feeling quite shattered and a little bit curious. Like, who was this guy? Was he still alive? Did he look like me? Did he like to ride bikes? Would he be interested in paying some back child support? But denial is a close cousin of grief, and I had moments and hours and sometimes days of not believing it. I even contacted 23andMe and questioned their methodology and the veracity of the results. I'm sure they loved that, and they assured me that the results were true. I really wanted to find this person, but I was in the middle of an existential crisis. So I did the only thing I could think of. I shared it on Facebook as a status update. After Facebook, I went to classmates.com, and I basically lied all over the place. I created fake profiles in my dead mother's name just so that I could get access to yearbooks from the 50s and 60s. I got a lead that my mother may have worked at an ice cream shack in the north end of town in a small place called Redmond, Oregon. So I went on Twitter, and I followed their Historical Business Society and the Chamber of Commerce, and I asked for some data from 1967. Then I went to Facebook, and I found a group called You Know You're From Redmond, Oregon If, and it's basically one of those groups where people wax nostalgic about the old 5 and dime and back when gas cost 50 cents, and asked them if I could join. I even put an ad in their local newspaper with my mother's picture, but nobody called. I had seen a lot of Magnum PI and a lot of Sherlock Holmes, and so I knew the next step was to hire a private investigator. So I sent one an email, told him the story, offered all the money I had, which wasn't much, but I said, here's my credit card. He responded and said, good luck with that. You know nothing. Without a name or a place or an age, you're really looking for a needle in a haystack. And then guess what happened? I found him. About 6 or 7 months after I had spit into that tube to have my DNA tested, I found him. It just goes to prove that Facebook has more purpose than showing me what you had for lunch the other day. But my life is not like a Hallmark movie. I'm still really sad. I haven't even had a chance to process it yet. I'm really overwhelmed, and so I created a 10-year plan to deal with it. You see, I'm like you, and I think you're all like me. If you have a problem and you don't know how to deal with it, what do? We just go buy an expensive blender and do a 30-day juice cleanse. Or if you have a little more money in the bank, you fly to India and do an expensive yoga retreat. You see, we love the silver lining, especially in this town, and we love finding the sunny side of the street. And I love the sunny side of the street. But this was so big and so life-changing that I needed to just kind of sit with it, to face it, feel it, process it. I kind of needed it to marinate for 10 years. Well, I am 3 years in to my 10-year plan, And I'll be honest with you, it's still really bizarre. But it's a lot less painful than it was. And now I can look at it from many different angles, like, what's that like to be in your mid-60s and find out that you helped create me like 47 years ago? Well, I figure in another 7 years, I'll feel even more differently about it than I do now. And I'm hoping by then, maybe I can fold a fitted sheet. Thank you.